stop whatever you're doing because what just dropped is hotter than a leaked Beyoncé album and messier than a Love and Hip Hop reunion hosted by Wendy Williams. Yes, you read that right. Jim Jones, Dipset's Crown Prince and Harlem's proudest hustler has reportedly broken all the way down after finding out that his longtime ride-or-die fiancée, Chrissy Lampkin, may have been hiding a whole child from him. Not a cousin, not a godchild, but an actual secret baby. And folks, this ain't coming from some shady blog with 3 followers and a Comic Sans logo. This tea is allegedly backed by leaked court documents, cryptic bank transfers, and a mystery man so bold he showed up to court like he was walking into the Met Gala. Could it really be true? Has Chrissy been living a double life this whole time? And how did Jim, with all his street smarts and Harlem intuition, miss a baby-sized red flag? Are we watching the downfall of a hip-hop love story we thought could survive anything, or is this just the beginning of a scandal so deep even Mona Scott is somewhere taking notes? Buckle up, because what you're about to hear will make you question everything. The streets weren't ready. Social media definitely wasn't ready. And Jim Jones, that man was the least ready of them all. The whispers started with a courtroom slip, a leaked text, a silent moment that turned into a full-blown storm. Jim, known for his loyalty, his street edge, his Dipset dominance, was sitting front row in the messiest scandal to hit hip-hop since the word entanglement was invented. And at the center of it all was Chrissy Lampkin, the woman who had been by his side through it all, who once proposed to him on national television like a queen claiming her king, and who, according to explosive new claims, has allegedly been keeping a secret so dangerous, so devastating, it shattered every bit of trust Jim thought he had. We're talking about a secret child. Not a rumor, not a social media misunderstanding, not a misquoted blog post. A literal human being, born, raised, allegedly hidden. And not once mentioned to Jim. You'd think something like that would be hard to miss, right? But apparently not, because insiders say that during what was supposed to be a routine court hearing tied to a minor civil dispute, things spiraled into full-on chaos. Testimonies began, and that's when it hit. The prosecution, clearly armed with receipts no one saw coming, pulled out documents that allegedly proved Chrissy had been involved in a years-old affair with a mystery man. And that affair resulted in a child that Jim Jones never knew existed. As the courtroom fell into stunned silence, the moment became a viral legend before the gavel even hit. Imagine Jim's face, stoic, hidden behind designer frames. But when the truth came out, those shades allegedly came off. And what he saw on the paper in front of him cracked his entire world. Reports say he leaned over to his lawyer and whispered just one sentence: "Is this real?" That's when the real circus began. Enter Cameron, Harlem's Pink Prince, the petty king, Jim's longtime brother in bars, but also the one person who has never shied away from chaos. Cam walked into the courtroom not like a witness, but like a man sent by the drama gods. Eyewitnesses say he was dressed head to toe in pink, sipping something from a metallic thermos, and had the kind of smirk you only wear when you know your enemy's about to fall. He strolled up to the bench and, with the subtlety of a Love and Hip Hop producer, allegedly handed over an envelope. The judge hesitated. Jim's lawyers looked confused. The prosecution was grinning. And inside that envelope, according to Anonymous sources, were screenshots of messages between Chrissy and a man identified only as Mr. X. Messages that spanned years. Messages filled with secrets, confessions, flirtation, regret, and one line that turned the courtroom to stone: "He can't find out. Not yet." Boom! That was the moment it stopped being a rumor and became a scandal. Suddenly, everyone wanted a piece of the story. Who was Mr. X? How long had this been going on? Why was Cameron the one delivering the evidence? Some whispered it was all a setup. Others said Cam had been sitting on this tea for years, waiting for the perfect moment to watch Jim break. The internet exploded. Memes flooded Twitter. TikTok conspiracy threads connected dots that didn't exist, and Instagram went full detective mode. Old Love and Hip Hop clips resurfaced where Chrissy seemed off. Viewers pointed out her sudden disappearances during key episodes, her vague comments about making peace with the past, and one suspicious moment where she ignored a call and turned off her mic. Was that Mr. X calling? Comments ran wild. How you hide a whole baby and a whole baby daddy? One user posted. Another wrote, Jim Jones looking like the main character in a Tyler Perry finale. And then there was the footage. Blurry, grainy, yet allegedly real leaked courtroom security footage showing Jim gripping the sides of his chair, staring straight ahead as his world crumbled. Chrissy wasn't even in the room. Her lawyers claim she was emotionally unwell, but many believe she was just trying to dodge the public meltdown. The evidence kept piling on. A financial analyst who may or may not also be a cousin of someone who dated. Chrissy's hairstylist claimed that Chrissy had been sending monthly payments to a private account registered in the name of a child, a trust fund, untraceable without a subpoena. Yet the numbers matched. Big deposits every month, starting right after the alleged affair ended. The defense tried to spin it. Charitable donations, they said. Family support, they claimed, but no one was buying it. Not the judge, not the internet, and definitely not Jim. According to witnesses, Jim refused to speak to Chrissy after court. He unfollowed her on Instagram, deleted several posts, skipped a scheduled appearance at a club in Atlanta, canceled an endorsement shoot. Fans immediately noticed. In this digital world, an unfollow is louder than a press conference. Meanwhile, Chrissy stayed silent. No post, no statement, no denial, which only made things worse, because silence, in a situation this hot, isn't commits guilt. And then Cameron, never one to waste a headline, posted a cryptic Instagram story, timing is everything, followed by a wink emoji. Which, let's be real, basically confirmed he knew everything and probably had more to spill. The speculation hit a fever pitch when TMZ accidentally released a photo of a tall man walking into a New York courthouse in sunglasses and a fitted Navy suit. The caption, "Is this Mr. X?" The internet went nuclear. Comment sections filled with theories, screenshots of old Chrissy photos with cropped out figures in the background, and one viral video comparing the alleged child's nose to Mr. X's side profile. That's a 92% match, one TikTok user declared, complete with fake facial recognition software. Things were spiraling and Jim's team was in damage control mode. But the question that echoed louder than any leak or post or photo was simple. How the hell did Jim not know? And just as the world was asking that very question, the court announced that Mr. X would be taking the stand the following morning. And that, my friend, is when everything really started to fall apart. The next morning wasn't just another court date, was a full-blown media event. Crowds gathered like it was the Met Gala for mess. Reporters, bloggers, TikTok detectives, and every Instagram influencer who ever posted a quote about healing had assembled outside the courthouse. People weren't just watching this unfold, they were living for it. Folding chairs were. Set-up phones were live. The energy was pure chaos, and all eyes were on one unmarked black SUV that pulled up just after 10 a.m. Out stepped a tall man. Sharp suit, dark shades, and a face no one could recognize but everyone swore looked familiar. Could it be? Was this the infamous Mr. X? He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. His presence alone set off another firestorm of speculation. Inside, the courtroom buzzed like a beehive. Jim sat at the front, no hoodie this time, no shades, just eyes forward and fists clenched. This wasn't the flashy rapper persona we've all come to know. This was a man betrayed, trying to hold on to the last piece of his sanity. Kamran strolled in moments later, Dipset varsity jacket on, chewing gum like he'd been waiting for this his whole life. And then it began. Mr. X was sworn in. The room held its breath. He started slow, measured, careful with every word. But what he said turned the courtroom into a theater of disbelief. Yes, he knew Chrissy. Yes, they had a relationship. No, it wasn't recent. But yes, it had been real and, according to him, real enough to produce a child. A child, he claimed. Chrissy decided to keep hidden from Jim out of fear that revealing the truth would destroy everything she'd built. Her relationship, her image, her entire empire of love and hip-hop nostalgia. Mr. X said he respected her wishes, stayed out of the way, and agreed to a private arrangement that allowed him to remain involved quietly from the sidelines. But the bombshell wasn't the child. The real punch came when he pulled out paperwork and alleged confidentiality agreement between him and Chrissy, signed, sealed, and paid for. In it, they agreed never to speak publicly about their past or the child. But the juicy part? The payments. Monthly child support from Chrissy, not Jim, Chrissy. That detail sent ripples across the room. And according to Mr. X, those payments had continued up until recently. The judge asked for copies. The court received them. Jim looked like someone had hit him with a steel bat. The internet wasted no time. Within 20 minutes of that revelation, screenshots from the courtroom sketch artists were turned into memes. One showed Jim staring blankly with a quote bubble that read, "So I was paying for her glopes while she was paying for someone else's baby." TikTok lit up like a Christmas tree, side-by-side comparisons of the child, Mr. X. And even Kamran were going viral with captions like, "Tell me this doesn't look like her real family." Even AI baby filters were being used to predict what Jim and Chrissy's child should have looked like versus what this mystery child looked like in supposed leaked school photos. The theories were as reckless as they were entertaining, but the damage was real. Jim had been stripped publicly, emotionally, and now financially. Fans began digging up past interviews where he'd spoken about wanting kids, about legacy, about how Chrissy was his world. And now that world was crumbling in front of everyone, piece by piece, and Chrissy. Still radio silent, no Instagram story, no passive-aggressive meme, not even a close friends post with the eyes emoji. Just nothing. But silence is louder when everyone's screaming. And the courtroom wasn't done. After Mr. X finished, the next witness was called. A woman identified only as Jane Doe took the stand, and what she shared pushed this drama into a whole new universe. According to her, she was once a close friend of Chrissy Santel, a falling out over unspoken secrets. She testified that years ago, Chrissy confided in her about an accident that resulted in a pregnancy. At first, she said Chrissy didn't know who the father was, but later confirmed it wasn't Jim. Jane Doe alleged that Chrissy was torn to terminate the pregnancy or keep the baby and bury the truth. She chose the latter. She also claimed that Chrissy used to refer to the child in code, calling them "my insurance policy," and that she swore she'd take the secret to her grave if it meant protecting her brand. The courtroom gasped. Even the judge had to pause. Cam's single quotes run, according to sources in the gallery, let out a soft chuckle. Jim sat still, stone-faced, broken in every possible way. The judge banged the gavel, trying to restore order, but the damage had been done, and outside, the media was in a frenzy. Gossip blogs declared it the scandal of the decade. Twitter Spaces ran for hours with titles like, "Chrissy really had a backup baby." Instagram Lives turned into panel discussions. People were uploading reaction videos to courtroom updates, like it was a Netflix series. Even Mona Scott was trending, and she hadn't said a single word. But you know how the internet works? The more you stay quiet, the louder the speculation gets. One YouTuber with 1,000 subscribers went viral overnight after posting a video called "How Chrissy Finessed a Decade of Love and Hip-Hop with a Hidden Child," complete with edited flashbacks and dramatic music. And as this courtroom mess unfolded, real consequences were brewing behind the scenes. Major sponsors started pulling out of Jim's endorsement deals. One sneaker brand quietly removed his name from their campaign. A documentary he was executive producing suddenly paused production. VH1, who had been in talks about another reunion special, went radio silent. Even fellow artists were hesitant to speak publicly because nobody wanted to pick a side. But Cam was having the time of his life. Not only had he dropped a few cryptic posts, but insiders claim he had already secured an exclusive podcast interview titled "Cam Exposes All," set to drop the day after trial wrapped. There's one thing Cam never misses. It's an opportunity to turn pain into content. And while the world laughed, cried, debated, and speculated, Jim's legal team was preparing for something even more serious. Because this wasn't just about broken hearts and bad PR anymore. It was starting to look like potential fraud. The court documents, the payments, the non-disclosure, someone was going to ask the real questions. Was this child legally hidden from Jim? Are their assets being moved in secret? Are their reality show funds tied up in fake narratives? A quiet murmur started growing louder. State investigators were allegedly reviewing financial records. If the payments were made using business accounts, that opened the door for tax questions. Deals were made under false pretenses. Chrissy could be facing real heat. And then came the whispers of a possible deposition being scheduled for Mona Scott herself to determine how much she knew and when. Because if producers had known about the secret and pushed the happily ever after narrative anyway, that could be considered intentional misrepresentation in certain entertainment contracts. Meanwhile, Chrissy's team, who hadn't spoken to anyone up until this point, released a single sentence to the press. Chrissy Lampkin has no comment at this time. That was it. No denial, no clarification, no context. And that one sentence did more to fuel the fire than any blog post ever could. Because in a scandal this loud, no comment feels like a scream. And as the day wrapped, the judge made a final announcement that sent the gallery buzzing again. Court would adjourn for the day and reconvene tomorrow because one final witness had been added to the docket. That's right, Mr. X was done. Jane Doe had spilled everything. And now the courtroom was bracing for someone else. Someone who, according to sources, had worked closely with Chrissy during the height of her reality TV fame. Someone who claimed to have seen it all, heard it all, and had the receipts to prove it. The question on everyone's lips: who else knew? And what the hell were they about to reveal? The next morning arrived with all the calm of a tornado in a tea shop. The courthouse was once again ground zero for the hottest drama in America, not the entire world. Fans didn't just show up early, they slept in tents outside. People were scalping access wristbands like it was a Beyoncé concert. Local businesses were selling Dipset-themed coffee drinks, one literally called "We Cry High" with extra whipped cream. And just when you thought this circus couldn't get any messier, it did. The final mystery witness was revealed: a former production assistant from the early seasons of Love and Hip Hop. Someone who had allegedly worked closely with Chrissy and Jim during the filming of their now infamous engagement arc. She took the stand and the courtroom leaned in like it was the season finale. According to her testimony, Chrissy was never planning to marry Jim. Let that sit for a second. The proposal, a stunt. The drama, manufactured, and the child, the biggest secret of all, one that she claimed the production team absolutely knew about, but buried to protect ratings and preserve Chrissy's narrative. She claimed there were entire scenes filmed and then deleted conversations, where Chrissy panicked about the truth slipping out, even once allegedly breaking down on set, screaming if he finds out it's all over, according to her producers. not only knew about the child but helped shape the show's storyline around the secret. She recalled being present for damage control meetings, where public image consultants worked overtime to rebrand Chrissy from controversial reality girlfriend to ride-or-die hip-hop queen. The courtroom was silent, jaws hanging, and you could practically hear Mona Scott's ears burning from miles away. The judge asked if she had proof. She did, allegedly. She submitted what she claimed were copies of internal production notes, unedited, transcripts, and audio recordings from set where producers were caught discussing the secret child. The court moved to seal the documents, but the damage was done. The courtroom turned into a battleground, and Jim, who had barely moved all week, finally snapped. He stood up, fists clenched, shouted something inaudible, and stormed out with his legal team trailing behind him. He didn't return, and that's when the media frenzy went nuclear. News outlets declared it the death of a hip-hop fairy tale. Paparazzi chased down anyone remotely associated with the show. Old castmates were being dragged into Twitter spaces they didn't even agree to join. Cam was already capitalizing. He dropped a freestyle that afternoon titled Secret Son, where he rapped, "She had a side quest, baby." But Jimmy missed the map. He thought he was the captain, didn't see the trap. Fans ate it up. The beat slapped. The internet dubbed it the diss track of the decade, and the hashtag CamNews shot to the top of trending charts worldwide. But while the memes were thriving, Jim's world was imploding. Multiple insiders confirmed that several of his business ventures had now been frozen due to legal uncertainty. His long-awaited fashion collab was canceled before launch. One record label he was in talks with completely ghosted him. TMZ reported that lawyers were now reviewing all contractual obligations with Chrissy, including potential fraud claims related to reality show monetization. And remember those hush-money child support payments allegedly made by Chrissy to Mr. X? Yeah, that raised red flags for the IRS. Tax records were subpoenaed. Forensic accountants were allegedly crawling through years of financials. One source claimed the feds were sniffing around looking for signs of wire fraud and misappropriation of brand income. Because if reality TV dollars were earned on a false premise and contracts were signed without full disclosure, that's not just messy. That's criminal. Meanwhile, Chrissy still hadn't spoken publicly. Her Instagram remained blank. Her Twitter account liked a single tweet that said, "She's been quiet because she's unbothered." But nobody believed that. In fact, the silence only deepened the suspicion. Everyone wanted to know, where was she? Why wasn't she in court? Was she negotiating a deal behind the scenes? Or was she preparing her own PR ambush? Some speculated she was filming a surprise exclusive sit-down interview with a streaming platform. Others were convinced she had fled the country altogether. A TikToker swore they spotted her in Puerto Rico. Another claimed she was hiding out at her cousin's house in Jersey. One user uploaded a video breaking down the timeline of her online absence, complete with conspiracy charts and voiceover narration saying, "This is giving hiding in plain sight energy." Back in court, Cameron continued his petty parade. He arrived late to the closing session, wearing a shirt that read, "I told you so," but louder. He waved to fans, posed for paparazzi, and sipped what looked like a venti tea with his pinky. Raised high, reporters shouted questions. He answered none, but his face said everything. He was winning. Not just the petty war, but the attention war. Jim, on the other hand, was a shell. One courtroom sketch artist described him as visibly aged overnight, while others noticed that he didn't even respond to the final proceedings. His lawyers handled the paperwork. His eyes stayed fixed on the floor, and then came the moment everyone had been dreading. The judge officially postponed any ruling for 90 days, citing the complexity of civil and potential criminal matters that now require full investigation. That's right, no verdict, no resolution, just a giant question mark and a public train wreck suspended in midair. But that didn't stop the headlines. In fact, it made them worse. Jim Jones betrayed, broken, and investigated. Chrissy's secret baby sparks federal probe. Cameron laughs while Dipset crashes and burns. YouTube commentary. Channels pumped out videos like they were printing money. One even used AI to fake a courtroom reenactment. Views were in the millions, and while fans were hooked, insiders say Jim's team was preparing for a total brand detox, clearing out social media, canceling all public appearances, and discussing whether he should lay low indefinitely or try to fight back with his own. Tell dash all dot. But here's where it gets even more twisted. Just when you thought the drama had peaked, a new leak dropped. Allegedly, a secret voice memo between Chrissy and a friend had been obtained, one where she talked about waiting for the right time to pivot the story and even joked about how she could turn this into a docuseries if it all blows up. The audio wasn't verified, of course, but that didn't stop the internet from running wild. Comments flooded in. So this was the plan the whole time. Did she really finesse a whole career off a lie? Somebody calls Shonda Rhimes. And just like that, the narrative shifted again. Was Chrissy a victim of her own past? Or the ultimate mastermind of hip-hop's longest-running scam? And Cam? He wasn't done either. The very next morning, he announced a limited edition merch line: hoodies, mugs, and tees that read, "Not the father. Not my problem." Pre-orders crashed the site in under 3 minutes. And somewhere in Harlem, you just know he was smiling like the petty king he's always claimed to be. As for Jim, his last move was a cryptic Instagram story. Just a black screen with white text that read, "Everything wasn't for everybody, but it was real to me." Then he logged off. No more tweets. No more posts. Just silence. Painful, public, soul-wrecking silence, so here we are. The fairy tale burned to the ground, the king dethroned, the queen vanished, and the jester still dancing? This wasn't just a scandal, it was a cultural event. It's the kind of betrayal that gets studied in gossip history books. And while the courts may take months or even years to unravel the legal fallout, the people have already made up their minds. Jim Jones was played, Chrissy was exposed, and Cameron, well, he just became the messiah of the messy. So now that the dust has settled, or rather, still blowing in every direction like a gossip hurricane, we have to ask the real questions. Was this all one giant manipulation, or just a tragic love story with a plot twist no one saw coming? Is Chrissy the ultimate villain, or just another character lost in the chaos of reality TV stardom? And Jim, poor Jim, was he really blindsided, or was he just ignoring red flags the size of Times Square billboards? Because, let's be honest, if a whole secret child was tucked away behind the scenes and not one cameraman, cast member, or groupie spilled the beans until now, something ain't adding up. And let's not forget the MVP of this mess, Cameron. Did he come through with the receipts out of loyalty, pettiness, or just for the vibes? One thing's for sure, nobody serves tea with a side of savagery. Quite like Killer Cam. Now we want to hear from you. Are you Team Jim, the betrayed king who lost it all? Team Chrissy, the woman with too many secrets and not enough explanations? Or Team Cameron, petty royalty here to narrate everyone else's downfall with rhymes and receipts? Drop your wildest theories in the comments. Was it all real? A setup? A marketing stunt for the next season of Love and Hip Hop? And don't forget to hit that like button if your jaw dropped even once, smash that subscribe button if you live for drama, and ring that notification bell, because in this world of celebrity scandal, the tea never stops. The lies only get bigger, and the next bombshell might already be brewing. Trust me, you're going to want to be the first to know when it explodes.